Is President Burgess really retiring? Newscene uncovers the truth.
Plus, we have the details on the heated presidential debate.
And shocking news about cyclist Lance Armstrong.
And there's a cool down in San Diego. I'll have your weather forecast. Newscene starts right now.
Hello and welcome to this edition of Newscene. I'm Jai Nguyen.
And I'm Gracia Aguilar. Thank you for joining us.
6 California colleges, including City College, have come under audit after not complying with the Clery Act. The Clery Act requires schools that receive financial aid to report any crime statistics and disclosures near or on campus, rather. The act is imposed by the Department of Education, and penalties for not complying could be fines of over $2,700 or suspension of financial aid programs. The colleges inaccurately reported some crime and failed to disclose emergency response and evacuation procedures. City College has agreed with the findings and is taking its steps to address the concerns.
The Bellevue Reporter wrote this week that City College President Terry Burgess is a finalist for president of Bellevue College. Burgess announced his retirement from City College at the beginning of the fall term. He said in numerous interviews that City was the best community college he's ever worked at. Burgess tells Newscene his reason for leaving.
In our retirement system, you reach a point in your career where you basically hit the max pension that you can earn. And this sounds goofy, but every year you work beyond that, you actually lose money.
Changing states from California to Washington will reset his compensation. Burgess has been president of City College for 12 years.
And 2 down, 1 to go. President Obama and Mitt Romney met last week in a town hall format where uncommitted voters got to ask the questions. Charlie Viramontes joins us with what the candidates had to answer.
Thank you, Johnny and Gracia. Things got heated in this debate. For a second time, Mitt Romney and President Obama faced each other. For the first time, they faced debate questions from voters.
Obama and Mitt Romney faced questions from voters, which tended to come back to, what would you do about something that affects me? The first question was asked by a 20-year-old college student who worries if he will have a job after graduation.
Make sure that we make it easier for kids to afford college, and also make sure that when they get out of college, there's a job.
The most important thing we can do is to make sure that we are creating jobs in this country, but not just jobs, good-paying jobs.
Voters asked questions about gas prices, energy policy, as well as immigration reform.
We welcome legal immigrants into this country. I want our legal system to work better.
So what I've said is we need to fix a broken immigration system, and I've done everything that I can on my own.
The town hall format was out in the open, and both candidates took aim at each other.
Have you looked at your pension? Have you looked at your pension?
I've got to say.
Mr. President, have you looked at your pension?
You know, I don't look at my pension. It's not as big as yours.
Another big issue up for debate was the Libya attack.
When we have 4 Americans killed there, when apparently we didn't know what happened.
And I am ultimately responsible for what's taking place there because these are my folks.
One of the last questions of the night had to do with taxes.
And I will not, under any circumstances, increase taxes on the middle class.
I want to give middle-class families and folks who are striving to get in the middle class some relief.
Spontaneous
The elections is 3 weeks away. A CBS News Knowledge Network poll of undecided voters who watched the debate found 37% giving the advantage to President Obama, 30% favoring Mitt Romney. Many analysts believe President Obama came back with a punch that night and showed us something we had not seen from the first presidential debate. Now the question is, which candidate will come out on top this Monday? So, Johnny and Grace, the next debate is on foreign policy. It will be interesting to see what candidate comes out on top.
Thanks, Charlie.
Thank you.
And if you haven't registered to vote for the upcoming elections, don't worry, you still have some time. With the general elections only a few weeks away, the Registrar of Voters has announced that the deadline to register is Monday, October 22nd at midnight. And if you're wondering how to register, there are a few ways available. You can register to vote online at sdvote.com, as well as post offices, public libraries, the DMV, and the county registrar's office.
On November 2nd, voters will decide the fate of propositions that will impact their lives. Newscene's Helen Hawes has the story.
What is Proposition 30?
This first grader isn't the only student who doesn't know what Proposition 30 is.
I know I've heard and I've seen signs. I've been getting a lot of calls recently about it.
Proposition 30 is a temporary tax increase only on high-income wage earners, plus a temporary quarter-penny sales tax. The $6 billion in funds will go straight to education. Jim Miller at the American Federation of Teachers represents the Yes on 30 campaign.
We're at the point where we've already cut down to the bone and we're nearing the point of amputation. Really what we'll be doing if we don't pass Proposition 30 is gutting the future of the state of California, destroying our educational infrastructure, and really doing much harm to our children's future.
Aaron McClare represents Stop Proposition 30 in Sacramento. He says this puts $6 billion into the budget that politicians can use any way they choose. Instead of prioritizing their spending, they fund pensions and health care for state workers. Students should be outraged. But the San Diego Community College District Chancellor makes the consequences clear.
Dr. Constance Carroll says if Proposition 30 doesn't pass, 700 course sections will be dropped.
We do need money.
We really need to push to more education.
Well, I mean, if you're not educated, you don't have the chance that other educated people have.
Student votes could determine the fate of Proposition 30. Helen Hawes, Newscene.
There have been demonstrations, boycotts, and marches regarding the cuts to education. In the end, it all comes down to what the voters want.
Civil rights attorney Molly Munger made a stop in San Diego to discuss Proposition 38, the Local Schools and Early Education Act that she wrote and co-sponsors. James Smith has the story.
The rapid mathematician, state teacher of the year, Alex Kachatani kicking in high gear because we're living in a nation that's cutting education.
While looking to rev up support for Prop 38, former Teacher of the Year Alex Kachatani explained why he has chosen to back Prop 38, although the American Federation of Teachers is supporting the more popular Proposition 30.
It's the only proposition on the ballot this November where all of the money goes straight to our local schools.
Molly Munger presented a breakdown on how the measure would be funded and how funds accumulated would be dispersed. But during a question and answer period, a concern of many in higher education was addressed.
I'm concerned about K-12 and I'm concerned about the community colleges.
What we did in 38 is we took the community colleges out separately and we said, let's treat them, instead of treating them badly like schools are treated under 30, let's treat them like higher ed. Let's treat them like the UCs and the CSUs.
Prop 38 is an income tax increase for everyone, with 70% going to K through 12 and early education programs. This leaves the state to divide the remaining 30% among the higher education and public services.
Even though everyone across our different services has been having some difficulty, there isn't another sector that's hit as hard as K to 12.
This is James Smith for Newscene.
It's important to note that should both Prop 38 and Prop 30 pass, that the one with the most votes will be the one that is implemented. There will not be a dual tax increase.
The state of New York has officially struck down the Defense of Marriage Act. The law denies federal benefits to married same-sex couples. But on Thursday, the Second U.S. Circuit Court of Appeals found the law violates the Equal Protection Clause, making it unconstitutional. The court also determined that the American gay community has suffered a history of discrimination. The ruling came after a woman sued federal government after she was denied benefits to her late wife.
Zumba is a popular form of exercise for women and men alike. As popular as it is, Zumba is having some controversies of its own. It appears that a prostitution ring has been discovered in a studio out in Kennebunk, Maine. Alexis Wright, is the alleged leader of the ring, having a list of 21 men paying for her sex. It is believed that there are over 150 men on the list of sex clients. Wright pleaded not guilty to 106 counts, including prostitution and invasion of privacy. After inspection of her studio, there were books and videos of evidence, including some videos that she did with these clients. It is believed that she generated $150,000 in over 18 months.
An outbreak of fungal meningitis on the East Coast has now led to 19 deaths, with 247 confirmed cases and growing. The scare is caused by steroid injections infected with black mold. As many as 13,000 people have been exposed to the mold over the last 6 months. A pharmaceutical company in Massachusetts manufactured the contaminated drugs and has since recalled all of its products. This week, the FDA raided the pharmaceutical company that distributed the infected shots. Doctors are advising patients to get tested for the fungus if they have received steroid treatments from the New England Compound Company Center from May to September of this year.
The United States is suffering the worst West Nile virus outbreak in years. Infected alone are well over 4,000 Americans, with almost 200 deaths reported throughout 27 states. Most people infected with West Nile virus will not have any signs of illness, but 20% will experience mild symptoms such as fever, headache, body aches, and in some cases a skin rash and swollen lymph glands.
7 masterpieces disappeared from the Netherlands in pre-dawn art heist on Tuesday. The exhibition was held in the Kunsthal Museum when the alarm went off around 3 in the morning. Officials arrived shortly after to find the paintings were gone. Upon investigation, police say the burglars were well prepared. The art show included more than 150 paintings from 19th century to the present. Artists included are Picasso, Matisse, Monet, Gauguin. The collection was to be shown for the first time in public.
And the prime suspect for the shooting of a former Navy sailor has been arraigned. We have more on the story.
And new developments tonight in the National Hockey League's labor dispute when we come back.
Did you know kids who play outdoors have healthier lungs?